Is stress and burnout the same thing? Are stress and burnout interchangeable words? Let's talk about that today. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Jessica Louie, and I love helping burned out pharmacists and healthcare professionals simplify their lives so you can enjoy making memories with your family more often. Let's dive into this topic today. Is stress the same thing as burnout? How do we know what we're experiencing? I get this question so often, and let's dive into, are they the same? And if they are not, what are the differences? We think of stress as this mental and emotional experience accompanied by predictable changes in your biochemical, physiological, and behavioral processes. So is it the same as burnout? Well, we talked in our prior video about what burnout is and the syndrome of exhaustion, cynicism, and decreased self-efficacy, right? So what does that mean? So simply put, burnout is a result of prolonged exposure to stress. The longer we are exposed to high levels of chronic stress, the more difficult it is for our parasympathetic system to turn it off when it's over. So what's the difference between stress and burnout? So I love this diagram presented here. And this is a great way to really see what the difference is between burnout and stress are. When we're experiencing stress, we're typically over-engaged in that activity, right? So we're putting in lots and lots of hours, lots of energy into that activity. And when we transition into burnout, we become disengaged, right? We have this potential cynicism, negative viewpoint, and we detach from areas of our life or areas of our work. And that can mean disengagement from people or activities. When we are experiencing stress, we have this sense of urgency, this hyperactivity in our lives. And for me personally, I talked about how I was hyperactivity of reading and researching to get all these research projects out and published when I was experiencing burnout. And as I transitioned into burnout, that hyperactivity went away. There was a sense of helplessness that occurred. You didn't even want to try anymore. You were just letting down your research team. A lot of times we're reactive or overreactive to different situations when we're experiencing stress. And when we transition into burnout, we have these blunted emotions, distancing emotions, maybe feeling isolated and really alone. So when we're experiencing stress, we might have this decreased sense of energy. Whereas when we transition into burnout, we have a motivation loss. And for me personally, losing and diminishing that energy meant from the chronic exhaustion I was experiencing, I would start to literally flutter my eyes during research project meetings because I was chronically fatigued. Whereas motivation that's lost, you may not even have the motivation to get out of bed in the morning. You may not even care to shower and put yourself together because your motivation is just not there. Stress tends to lead to anxiety. This anxiety of, am I doing enough? Am I being enough? Whereas burnout tends to lead to depression, feeling this guilt and shame in our lives. Stress tends to be more physically tolling on us, displaying those physical symptoms we talked about with headaches or GI discomforts, whatever your physical body will manifest. And burnout tends to be emotionally tolling, right? Our emotions are all over the place. And I honestly cried a lot when I was burned out. I was really frustrated, and I would take out my frustration by thinking there was nothing else I could do and cry about it. There was these ups and downs, these mood swings. And it would go from being really angry to being really emotionally upset and crying. So burnout and stress are not the same thing. They are not interchangeable terms. And I think that it's important for us to recognize it so that we can address stress before it becomes prolonged and chronic and turns into burnout in our employees and in our team members. Now, if you haven't downloaded our Burnout Starter Kit, make sure that you download that Burnout Starter Kit today. Take action in your life. Remember that it's 10% education and 90% implementation, my friends. Until next time, spark joy.